What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tide Talk. May the 4th be with all of those who celebrate as we record this one on Sunday, May 4th, to talk RIFC's historic home opener versus San Antonio FC. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube, and if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and click that like button on this video. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen on one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. One last plug: if you're not already using the RIFC Club Collector app, go out, get on that site. You can actually find it by clicking the link in our episode description. Enter the code TideTalk25, all lowercase, all one word, to get an exclusive pack added to your collection today. So cozy up, crack a bear. Nice bear you got there, Ryan. Let's dive into this one. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Ryan Healy. Ryan, how's your Sunday been?
It's been beautiful, man. I mean, it's been such a beautiful weekend, and I don't think anything could have put a damper on it. I was wondering what jersey you're wearing. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, McLaren won too. You got to love that on a Sunday as well. So, yeah, overall, great weekend and great Sunday to match it.
That's it. Timmy says Matt is low-key a big Star Wars guy. It's not low-key at all. It's full front. I am a Star Wars nerd. Probably my biggest nerding that I would do. So, but we're here to talk this glorious weekend that Andrew Quadros talks about in this one, the historic home opener. Just a really fun time yesterday at Tidewater. I think we'll be kind of talking a little bit more about the atmosphere and the events leading up to than the actual match itself during this one. And I do want to say, if you're new to Tide Talk and you've never been in here before, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So type up your match day experiences in the chat, and that goes to all of our regulars too. So if you never went to a game at Bryant last season versus if you went to every game at Bryant last season, give us some thoughts on your match day experience. How did it go? We'd love to hear it. We'd love to talk about it and share all of those on screen as best we can throughout the chat. The chat is always live, so make sure you're typing in to interact with us, and we'll do our best to get going. And as Chris P says, the beer fridge I was going to ran out for the opening day ale. No. Ryan and I got lucky. We went to the Guild post match, which was actually pretty cool. There were a ton of RAFC shirts there. There was a ton of beer there. You could actually get the can and drink it while you were there. I know I brought some home. Ryan brought some home. But really cool. We'll start there, I guess. Post match at the Guild.
Yeah, I thought the funny thing, we saw so many people with like the RIFC training top, and I think that's because they bought them at the game and they changed into dry clothing, which I was very, very jealous of, both because the kit's awesome, but also because they were dry and I was very much not. So yeah, Gil was awesome. It was cool seeing just so many people that like came over after, and that's the kind of atmosphere you hope keeps going throughout the season. People, party in Pawtucket before the game, party in Pawtucket after the game. So yeah, hopefully it's great, especially, you don't want it to drive a lot of business to the area. And yeah, it was great. Also, the Guild's just great. So great time as always. And love hanging out with the Kerwin clan.
Oh, always cool. Graham was in one of my t-shirts going in there because, like you mentioned, everyone was soaked. I know I said to you, like, there are a lot of training tops here. Like, I didn't see those. I never got into the store. I did a loop at halftime to try to switch end zones, taking some shots. And the line had to have been 50 to 60 people deep to get into the club store. We tried to get in after, and they were not letting any more people in. So it was kind of tough. We got to figure out that. We got to figure out the store and all that. But I think, we'll start with the tailgate. We'll start with getting into M7, I guess. Overall, much easier than I originally anticipated. I think a lot of people thought there were going to be a lot of hiccups, with this one, and some potential like traffic jams and all that. Now, I know we got there a lot earlier than your average bear would have. So anyone who got there a little bit closer to kickoff, interested to hear your thoughts. Was it harder to get into the area? But, we stopped by the stadium first, and then we drove up to M7 and pulled right in, no problem. It was very simple, very easy. And Matt Hands confirms very easy to get in and out of the lot at M7. But
Matt Hands was there at like 11:30, so.
Yeah, you're always a little bit later than the rest of the Tide Talk crew, Mr. Healy. So how was your time getting in and out?
Mine was good. I'm lucky I could take the bus from more or less my house to Pawtucket, which is awesome. So yeah, honestly, that was cool. There was not a ton of traffic coming up like Hope Street, that area, which is great. And Yeah, I got there around like 1:45 too. And yeah, like easy peasy. We actually saw one of the R136 buses right in front of us, like kind of stopping along the way, which is cool. So yeah, it seemed like everything actually was doing great.
Right. Sarah says in the chat, parking was great. Bus was an awesome plus. I know they said initially that the bus was supposed to run every 8 to 10 minutes. It seemed more like 5 or 6 minutes. It was actually running pretty quickly. Know several people who took the bus, and it seemed like that was a very easy and hitch free experience getting in and out
Mhm.
of the lots and the stadium through that. So very good to see that as well. The tailgate, a little different than Bryant. I would say a little bit more spread out.
The
I think
spread
kind
out
of
was what
seeing.
I noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say kind of looking at the map initially, I was kind of worried about the size of things and how that would play out, how that would look. But the lot seems to be, although a different shape, just as big, if not bigger than the space at Bryant. So you had a lot of different tents set up, you had a lot of different grills set up. So a lot of pictures of tailgating at the other lots too. So glad to see they didn't really like crack down on that and they kind of like let people enjoy the day, enjoy the time because it was a beautiful day. But in the M7 specific lot was really cool. Big shout out to James Toomey. He had a bunch of the juniors making
Mhm.
a chalkboard tifo and the banner that they carried in. That was cool. You had kids playing soccer. You had the Defiance tailgate. You had people growing. Overall, just a really cool vibe, really cool experience. In my opinion, I think it would be nicer. We mentioned the spread out, kind of get everything a little bit more, central and closer together. I'm sure that'll come with time, but
I think that's on us to organize and figure out because,
sure, sure,
like, a parking lot's a parking lot, and it's a really big parking lot. So, but yeah, I mean, just looking in the chat, seems like a lot of just really good experiences with yesterday. Yeah, catching the bus to the stadium. We got Timmy was part of the Road Riders, which is awesome. Definitely excited to check that out sometime this year. A lot of people saying they caught the bus, which is awesome. So, yeah, really great. Love the diversity in here, but also that basically it's all positive. Which I know this was one of the sticking points going into the season. People were worried about parking and how they're getting
sure.
around Pawtucket. And from everything we've heard so far, it just kind of all went off without a hitch. And that's at the home opener, and it's sold out. Like you're not going to get a day when there's potentially more chaos and potentially hiccups that could come, and you're overloading the system with all these new people. So really, really great to hear how the team really nailed that. And shout out to Ripta for all their work on this too.
Right on. Chris adds another interesting comment there too. He arrived at 2, simple to get into M9, and then took the bus to M7. So it's cool if you're not in the tailgate and you want to join up with the Defiance tailgate and kind of be a part of the all the pregame festivities and shenanigans that go into that, and then join up into the march. That you can take a bus from one lot to another and kind of walk in and join the group and go like that. So
Yeah, I think
really
that
cool to see.
my brother and I, like I said, we took the bus, but we walked over with the 4-pack to the M7 lot, and like I highly encourage people to do that. I mean, it's a really fun time, like being with the Defiance, getting into the march, or if you don't want to do it to the march, you can just walk from M7 or take a bus from M7 to the match. But yeah, really easy way to tailgate. People will happily lend you some space in their cooler if you want to keep some beers on ice. Maybe donate a couple to their cooler, but.
Yeah, as far as donating to the cooler, did you ever get yours back, or is Timmy
Timmy's
got my vendor
confiscated
right now?
his, so yeah, we'll see what
He
happens next
appreciate
match.
he appreciated the donation. Talking about the tailgate, definitely got to shout out Sarah and Matt Hands. More so Sarah than Matt for the Jello shots and nips. That was a very welcome addition. The churro whiskey is absolutely outstanding if you've never tried that before. But she had some new flavors in there. She was very allergen conscious and marked the coconut ones with an X for people with allergies. I know my wife has a tree nut allergy, so she's appreciative. You can keep that stuff separate. All good stuff. Timmy does say you're going to get your Bears back, Ryan.
Well,
I
I
highly
actually was
doubt it.
thinking that's like kind of throwing Timmy under the bus because I feel like I traded in a 4-pack of Fresh Catch for a exclusive, like one of the last Tide Talk beer cans in the wild. So I couldn't believe I was getting my lips tasting that ever again. But yeah, great to see. And Timmy, we'll talk. We have a lot of season left. We'll see if I see those again.
That's it. So I guess next up would be the actual march itself, and it was a pretty impressive sight to see. Kind of started from the back, and got some pictures, and then ran up front. So I guess we'll start with that video there, and we'll take a look at what the march looked like from your perspective, from your cell phone perspective. Really cool stuff, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some of the details and some of the really cool points from that going forward. So I guess we don't have the audio on, but
Oh, it's not
that
on.
works.
Brutal.
There we go. It is. Well, as you can see, La Banda is out there in full force. People with flags. It just goes on and on. You have adults, you have kids. Just an awesome sight to see. So we'll take this in for a little bit. There's Timmy.
I had to make sure I didn't clip it before that.
Absolutely awesome. But some of the really cool, pieces, at least for me from the march was, when I got up to the front, I was with Brett and, kind of talking with him, walking with him, and getting to watch him take it in, as, being the chairman of this club and seeing his joy. He was FaceTiming and talking to somebody about, just how cool this was, how cool the experience was. He looked like a kid on Christmas morning. So to see your chairman so ingrained in that and kind of in that was really, it was a special moment for me just to kind of like get his perspective on it and watch him take it all in. And now before that even happened, we also had the speech that he gave. So we'll make sure you get your audio up on this one, Ryan. So unfortunately, I don't think it's playing loud enough.
Better or worse?
Nah, no difference.
All right. Well,
a little better there, but
I would
basically
say if anyone wants to see like both this moment and like the entire march, we do have the entire thing recorded on our Instagram, Tide Talk RI, on there. You can see the full 23 minutes. The Brett speech was about 3 to 4 minutes in if you don't want to sit through the whole thing, but it is really awesome to take the whole thing in. I know other people also have clipped it out there, but yeah, if anyone wants, maybe we'll clip it as well and put it out there for people to see. So.
As Jason says, he was so awesome and easygoing and happy. It was great. He was just very appreciative and thankful of the community and everything going forward. So really cool to see. It was cool that we started from the team's headquarters and marched in from there. And I think I saw in the chat somebody's Matt Jean said was told by people who have done other marches that hands down the best they ever saw. They talked on the broadcast at length during my rewatch that Rhode Island really set the bar high for the USL Championship, and that was very, very cool to see. Absolutely, fan support, fan engagement throughout this one was incredible. I know there was a question in the comment from Chris P, and I know Matt Jean's in the chat, so you can probably speak to this. What time is the March Wednesday night? So Matt, if you can type that in, we'll definitely pull that up and get that going forward. And a lot of love for Brett, as Brett is the man. It was pretty cool. I saw him at the ticket window at pickup, asked me how I was doing, gave me a hug. Just an awesome guy, and really cool that he was there to kind of see it all to fruition. He's been very vocal about it. He was nice enough to take some time to join us on one of our podcasts. Really a great steward of the club and a great guy to have in our community.
Yeah, I just tweeted out the video if anyone wants to see that on the Tide Talk account on Twitter. So yeah, Tide Talk RI on there. But I mean, Brett's been amazing. I mean, he gave us a live score prediction. I just ran up to him and was like, "Would you want to give us a live one?" He was cool enough to do that. So yeah, just someone who like the vibe you get from Brett is that he feels very lucky to be doing this, and he feels very like honored and accountable for all of this, which I find really touching from someone who could be doing a lot of things with his his time and his resources. So really, really appreciate Brett and appreciate the thought and care that he has for this club.
Right on. Matt says it's looking like a 7 p.m. March for Wednesday night as we host the Revolution in the USL Open Cup. Just really cool stuff, overall. So Ryan, take us through, you're up in 205. You entered the stadium, the walk up, the section, the atmosphere. Kickoff was pushed back a half an hour to the initial game time. So a lot of people in their seats for about an hour or so, ahead of kickoff, and they kept referencing that on the broadcast as well. So there was people everywhere. The lines were long. I think to be expected at a sellout game like this. But talk about you making your way through the stadium officially for the first time and getting up to your section and the vibes and everything in the upper deck.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was honestly just incredible. It was a lot to take in because we've been there a few times now. We went for a tour back in I don't know, February, and there's like 12 of us, and then went to the open house last week, and there was a decent amount of people there. But seeing it truly like packed to the brim, trying to just weave through people, trying to keep my live video going for the march in was funny, but honestly it was kind of overwhelming in a way of just like we've thought about this, we've seen it like a little bit full, but seeing it just packed, people just excited about the team, the amount of it just random people I saw that I like knew was like funny of just like, oh my god, like you're here, this is great. So yeah, and then finally getting up to our seats, that was another like weird moment of like I've been there before, but being there for a Rhode Island FC match was incredible. Obviously, I was also scrambling to get my club collector done because I was just caught up in the moment trying to get all that.
And the half an hour thing threw a total wrench into that. So,
yeah,
so
we were
big
like
shout out to Craig
We're
for
like, Craig, it's all off. But shout out to Craig for, I don't know if people know this. Like Craig fixed that like on the fly while he was standing like at the stadium. So please, as always, if you ever see Craig, just say thank you because he does club collector for free and he absolutely does not need to be doing that. But just a awesome person in this community. But at 205 was awesome. I mean, the view is like you're watching on TV, but you're closer and it's just better. Like you can see everything there. Met a lot of awesome people up there. It was one of the fun things about the day was like turn to people and be like, are you a season ticket holder? Okay, we're going to be friends. Like as long as Kevin didn't scare you away throughout the day. But it was cool. I mean, a lot of the Tide Talk crew is up there, which is awesome.
I'm the only one not up there, right?
I know. I mean, we're far enough away from each other in a lot of ways where it's like probably annoying a few very specific people from us yelling at each other about things. Yeah, it's just it's fun to just meet new people and people are up there. And it was nice that some people were like, oh, I actually watch your podcast. It's fun you're up here, which is cool. So shout out to those people. I definitely don't remember any names from yesterday, but everyone's awesome. And I can't wait to watch more matches with you all.
No, right on. So, I had a very different
yeah, let's get into this. I feel like you've been kind of hiding this so far.
A very different match day experience than normal with Tide Talk getting our first media credential. And I did see Jason said, so Matt, are you going to be with the media credentials for the whole season? We are happy to announce that we did get full on-field photographic media credentials for the entire season. So we got some pictures out there today. We've got some more coming. I know Timmy used some in his player ratings blog, so make sure you go check that out. Just a really cool experience. And as I kind of give my take on things, if you're, like I said, if you're new to this and you've never been on the Tide Talk chat before, please share your experience. And then anyone else in any other sections, share your experience of, getting into your section, what the vibe was like before kickoff, during the game. We'd love to hear it. And we've got a ton of people in here. So if you haven't already, please make sure you hit that like button. But a pretty monumental day for Tide Talk, as well as we were able to get some access and get on the field to get some pictures. Was really cool when I was walking down. One of the security guards who I had to show my pass to let me on the field was like, hey, I listen to the podcast. You guys do a great job. And I heard that from multiple people throughout. So, it's a credit to the Tide Talk crew and everything that we do. Just really cool, respect that we've been shown from the RIFC community, employees at Tidewater, just absolutely awesome stuff. I got to take the Hans Christmas card photo. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later.
A great picture.
And Martin says, I saw you enter, Ryan. I'm in the same section. So we got some more 205 gang up there. But it was a very cool experience for me. Like I said, a much different game day vibe, as usually I'm screaming and yelling at the ref. And we'll get to her in a little bit, but we're still on the match day vibes on this one. But, I got down in the section opposite of, the supporters section. So I could kind of shoot across, get the TIFO, get some stuff. And then was lucky enough to get to midfield when the national anthem was being sung, when all the dignitaries were on the field. So got some good shots there as well. But it was a really cool vibe. Got to walk around, switched end zones a couple times, was trying to, focus on the RIFC attacking end to try to catch that first goal, but we'll keep trying. We'll get there. But but just a really, really different way to take in a game. Saw things in a different light that I might not have, kind of being in the supporter section. And then on the rewatch, got to kind of confirm some of those things. So just a very cool experience. Like I said, talked to a lot of people, cross paths with a lot. Like as I was walking around, people, Matt, like so. Just cool to see that, the kind of recognition for Tide Talk, as we're able to, kind of continue to grow what we do and be a podcast for the fans, by the fans, and grow, the community around this team. It's just a really special environment. It's a really special community, and you make a lot of really good friends, make a lot of really good connections, and meet some awesome people along the way.
Yeah, and I definitely want to. I mean, this is going to be a very emotional, touchy episode, but like, shout out to all of you who've listened, watched, come to the blog. Like, it's because of you that we have these awesome opportunities. So we really appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. Yeah, we want to keep working hard at this for all of you. So yeah, really appreciate every single one of you.
Definitely appreciate all you guys who, tune in every week, follow us on the socials, and
As we
allow
call
us
you, the
to.
sickos, but yeah.
Yeah, it's validating for the work that we do. So we appreciate you. We just kind of do it because we love the game, we love the team, and we're just glad to be a small piece of what brings this community together at times. So very, very good stuff. Sarah typed in Zach during the national anthem was amazing. If you have not done a rewatch, if you see the national anthem, you can see my son belting it out. During the broadcast, they played again before halftime too. So he was on there a couple times.
It's the captain of the Junior Defiance right there.
Oh, absolutely. And then he was shirtless post game. They both were, both of my kids. So I'm sure won't be the first, won't be the last time. Maybe they were the first two to pop the tops at Tidewater. I don't know if Kevin beat it.
Kevin definitely beat it.
Kevin definitely beat it.
So
All
fast.
right, so
yeah.
But just a really cool game day atmosphere. Got to walk around, got to see a lot of people. I know Tim Sheldon was in here. I crossed paths with him at halftime. Really cool to walk around the stadium too, and kind of take in all the different parts of the stadium, and still didn't feel like I saw it all. So just there's a ton to see, there's a ton to do. My wife shared pictures of the boys playing like the table soccer where you sit and kick the ball, in the table below you, and all the different signage they had the jerseys that you could like stick your head in and take pictures. So I think the team did a really good job. The club did a really good job of, putting other activities out there and making it really family friendly, and just a good environment for the downtime of being in there early, things to do during halftime, things to do post match. Really cool that they let the players, back kind of in that autograph alley, I think is what they dubbed it, to, sign post match and, kind of go forward. Continuing that tradition that we saw at Bryant last season. Jason asked if we saw the ice sculpture. I saw it through the window on the way out. It was in the club level. It was in the club level. It was the club crest. Pretty cool. Just all around great stuff. And different things that the team put out for fans to really enhance the match day experience. Martin adds, thank you for the awesome content. I became a season ticket holder because of you both.
Holy shit. Wow.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you.
Martin, come say hi. This is awesome.
Like, wow. Martin, if you're there on Wednesday night, go see Ryan. He owes you a beer for spending all that money on season tickets. Yeah. I'll pull on that one off on Ryan. But just overall, an absolutely awesome day, from the march in to heading to the guild after and everything in between. I think it was a day that most of you will remember for a very long time.
Yeah, I think one thing too, just to go back to like my seats, I thought one of my favorite things was just like uncovering people that I didn't know were in our section. Like shout out one of the Tide Talk favorites of Logan. He's in 205. Like the band's a ball knower. Also, just hilarious person. So shout out to Logan and those guys. That was so funny that he just popped up. He's like, hey man, I'm in this section too. So yeah, one of my Frap, if he's, I don't know if he listens, but I used to work with him at the Apple store like back in college. He was in the section over for me. So just like cool, just seeing random people that like and that it's like, hey, we're gonna spend a lot of time together. This is awesome.
Absolutely. I do know that people were kind of complaining about lines and all of that, but just wait. There'll be a rain game sprinkled in somewhere in there. Lines will be shorter. This was the absolute, I think most you'll kind of see it going forward. But, overall, I think people expected hiccups. They expected a bit of calamity, if you will, at certain points. And I think this one went off truly without a really big hitch.
I haven't heard a single like legitimate like complaint of like people besides like the trolls on Facebook who just weren't there, number one, and just are mad about this because I don't know, a lot of unfortunate reasons. But yeah, I haven't heard a single thing, and I think it was the thing I've heard most of is like almost a surprise of how well it went, because even the club was like really like get there early, like things are going to happen, we're going to learn, like, and not to say that they're not going to learn little lessons along the way, but I genuinely can't. I imagine there's a lot of people who put a lot of time and effort into this launch who are feeling really good today, and I really hope they're proud of that.
I will say we kind of learned about it right before coming on, but those of you that play Club Collector, if you are lucky enough to pack the Amos Man of the Match card, that is a Tide Talk shot that we passed over to Craig for it. So we shout out Craig all the time. We shout out Club Collector. But if you pack a Amos Man of the Match, that is a Tide Talk photo. So hopefully you're able to enjoy that as well. I was super excited as I see you admire your guild can. That,
I actually didn't take it in yesterday. It's like really nice.
Right, that we were able to get some after the match. Basically working the whole match, so did not partake. So really cool to get that in there. And like Timmy says, thumbs down to the trolls. And just another great reminder, as there's so many people in here, if you haven't already, please smash that like button, hit that like button. Just helps more people find our show, helps more people find all of our content. So thank you for that. But I guess we'll talk the match now. We went about a half an hour on, the experience and all of that. Again, can't say enough about how positive it was. The weather, earlier in the week, looking like it was going to be bad. We had that stretch near the end, but I thought the rain made it. I like it. My wife in the other room would probably disagree with me right now, but I thought the rain cooled things off. It was good. It like started as really big, really heavy raindrops, and then absolutely downpour.
We have such a long way to go to get to the rain. 89 minutes of soccer to talk about.
That's it. So let's take a look at the starting 11 in the home opener for RIFC. We had Koke Vegas in net, Alder Sanchez, Zachary Harival, Grant Stoneman, Rio Hopegund, newly signed to the full season contract, Jojea Quazera, Clay Holstad, Maxi Rodriguez, Amos Shapiro Thompson, Noah Fuson, and Joe Brito. About what you expected to see, Ryan, with the absence of, Frank, Yao, JJ being the most notable?
Yeah, I think the only thing I was surprised about, and we'll talk about how it was set up, which was another surprise, but I probably would have thought maybe a Temu would have been in there instead of a Brito or an Amos. So that was probably the only kind of surprise here. But with who was available, I mean, this was kind of the options. But I also thought like the way we set up was good. Obviously, it wasn't a 4-4-2. Fatma might get it right by the end of the season. We'll see. But yeah, overall, I thought like we put the best players available on the pitch, and I thought kind of did some interesting things with those players available that gave us the best chance to win this game as much as he could.
Right on. The broadcast very much referenced how much the both teams really shapeshift throughout this one, and you could definitely see it. I know you talked about 205 kind of being the tactics view of things. So, you watched Harival climb up into midfield. You watched him drop back into the back line. He was very much a puzzle piece in this one that was one of the bigger shapeshifters in this one. But there was a lot of fluidity in this lineup. There were a lot of different things going on. But very interesting to see how it all kind of meshed up. We saw some different link ups, some different pairings that we don't normally see based on kind of players not starting and not getting into it. But overall, I thought this 11, for what we had, played very tough. They played very physical. They matched the physicality of San Antonio, who was a very physical team, and really put in a great shift.
Yeah, I think the two biggest surprises for me of like in terms of like where people played on the match, number one was Joe Brito playing on that left wing. I thought that was an interesting idea. I don't know. We'll get into if that worked or not, but I thought that was interesting to see Noah central and Joe on the left with Quazera on the right. And then, if you would have asked me before the game, looking at this list of players, I mean, we've already seen Maxi play in a pivot with in the past. So I would have probably thought, hey, Amos is going to play in that number 10 role. Maxi will probably play a little deeper this game. But I thought it was really don't know if courageous is the right move, but like I thought it was really interesting that Kano played Amos with Clay in that kind of pivot and left Maxi up high to try to like dictate the attack, which I really thought paid off a lot for the day. So yeah, some interesting decisions by coach. He had to make some big calls with the lineup, the people he had available. But yeah, really interesting stuff. And I've talked about this formation before. I talked about it last week. I really like what we're doing here, and I think it's something, especially once you start plugging in kind of more of our, I would say, star players, especially like a JJ Williams in here. This could really cook for the rest of the season.
Right on. I think one of the biggest early moments for us was that Clay volley. I think it was right in the 11th minute. I think if he had hit that in the net,
the pandemonium would have ensued.
The proverbial top on Tidewater would have popped. And many more tops probably would have came off as well. It was just one hell of a hit. It was that Clay banger that we're used to seeing.
You went for it a couple times too. I was like, Clay wants this banger to be the first goal, and I'm so proud of him for it.
I think he had 2 shots right within the first 15 minutes, and it was almost like I was player of the year last year. I want to score the first goal at the new stadium. I want to get it going. I want to pop it off. And, he was looking to score, which him being in the midfield allocates him to do. So I was happy to see that he wasn't kind of in that hybrid back line, and it was more Haraval that was making those steps back and then linking back up in the midfield, because Clay's creativity, I saw him carry the ball forward, break a couple lines here and there. It was almost like once he got the ball in the middle of the field, San Antonio would drop further and further back. So he was able to bust it forward a lot more and really peg their defense back. But I thought he did a really nice job in, breaking those lines and controlling the midfield. And he was very much Maxi's release valve. Maxi won a lot of, soft passes or bad first touches from San Antonio players. And he immediately recycled the ball back to Clay, and then Clay looked to advance. So the two of them, I thought, linked up very well in the first half, particularly going forward.
Yeah, hey, we know they're like the roommates on the road, and they seem to have a good connection, but we're also seeing it on the pitch as well. I think Clay has a lot of superpowers. He has a crazy shot. His athleticism is, always shown, but his ability to recycle balls and to recover balls, it's truly like unmatched. And I think today was one of those days where when we have the decision of like, okay, we have no central defenders left, who are we going to take and put in the back line? I'm really happy that Kano decided that Zach was the one. I said it in the blog about our new defensive signings. Like, I don't want to see Zach or Clay ever in the defense ever again, but keeping Clay as the one in the midfield, I think just needs to happen no matter what. He might be our most indispensable player in there at this point. The amount of things that he does, and we'll get more to Clay's performance today, I think it might somehow still be overlooked. I mean, he was literally the player of the season last season, but it still might be overlooked with the amount of different things he does every single match for his team. And sometimes just like straight up puts his cape on, is like, I'm going to try to win this game for us because someone has to. And I just think like having that in the middle of the pitch just sets a tone for the rest of the team.
Right on. Jason's got a pretty good comment in the chat. Quizera getting right into the start with the Fender was something to see, that little pushing and shoving match there. I know a lot of people were pretty high on Quizera, and he scored pretty well on the algorithm ratings. The one thing that let him down, I think, was his first touch in this one. It was very heavy. It kind of took him in and around at dangerous spots. But being an inverted winger and being someone looking to cut in, I want to see him shoot more. I want to see him like put the ball at least near goal and let people kind of run off of it. But he was trying to dance around with it a little bit too much, and I think his touch kind of let him down at times.
100%. Part of it is it like this is a bit of a new position for him in this system. Is it going to take him a little bit to understand that? But the whole point of having those kind of like inverted wingers is really to have them cut in and be able to shoot on their dominant foot and come more central. So hopefully over time we see a bit more of that, especially with Noah on the opposite end, cutting in on his right. So hope to see that. But in terms of this, Jason's point here, I guess we can just get this now. I thought the way San Antonio came out and like their strategy for this game was kind of embarrassing. It really seemed like their whole goal was to kill time, to take the energy out of the stadium, to try to use the energy of the stadium against the players and almost like see if they could get Quizera or somebody do something stupid. So, I just found the whole thing like kind of embarrassing in a lot of ways. And it's just not a brand of soccer I ever want to see. And I'm happy that Rhode Island FC really doesn't ever resort to that. And yeah, the way they approached the game was kind of ridiculous. And it just seemed like they were very happy with the draw and also really trying their best to just slow the game down, hack people down. Amos took an absolute beating the entire game. Drew 5 fouls, which is kind of crazy, and they were all hard. So yeah, I embarrassing performance from San Antonio, really.
Let's talk about the foul where he kind of got grabbed by the throat and thrown to the ground.
Oh, that one.
Let's talk about that one because we saw a player get sent off for a red card on a free kick for hands to the face. This was beyond hands to the face and a violent whip down with it, which is violent conduct. Obviously it's not a league where VAR is in place, but this would at least, I would have hoped, have gotten looked at, and I think in any other league that has VAR, this is a red card. Even watching it back, he kind of hooked him, swam him, wrapped him up around the throat, and threw him down. So to see that discrepancy in officiating for hands to the face versus a violent hands to the face and the throwdown is really frustrating. I know we talk about officiating in the USL Championship a lot. We're going to talk a little bit more on it throughout this one, but did you have a red card on that one?
It's hard to say. Like, I haven't really watched it back. I haven't seen it, but from what we could see, it looked very obvious that like it was a swing and hit him in the face. And I don't know what else you can, whatever like criteria you have for violent conduct. In fairness to everything that I always say on this podcast, I would rather the ref do everything they can to keep 11 men on the pitch for both sides. So I have to be clear on that. But with how particular she was on so many other things, it's hard that is the thing where she kind of bent the rules. Overall, I thought the way that she doled out cards and everything, she was pretty consistent on that one. So I can't be like, oh, because I mean, we've talked about it, like, quite frankly, with the way she was calling the game, like Clay easily could have had a red card in this one. So I struggle to, be over the top on her missing this, but it was just weird though, the way that she was so adamant about where kicks were taken, where throw-ins were taken, things like that. And then we get some guy throwing a elbow to someone's face, and that's just a classic yellow card. So I don't know. I struggle on this one, mostly because I haven't really seen it back.
So first half stats in this one were 61% possession for RIFC, 3 shots apiece, 1 shot on target for San Antonio. We didn't have any. 249 passes at 89% accuracy, 134 at 75 for San Antonio, 9 fouls committed for RIFC to 10 for San Antonio. They had 2 corners, we had none. But I do think the star of the show in the first half was Alyssa Nichols. It was just such a disjointed half. The whistle kept blowing.
You said that earlier, and I had no clue who you're talking about.
Oh yeah, I mean we've seen her before, and I think she generally does a pretty good job. But it was almost like she wanted to upstage the atmosphere and the game itself, because this first half had a whistle, I would say, almost every minute. Like, it was just repeated stoppage. You mentioned the adamancy about where the ball had to be played from. It was a whistle, there was conversation, and then the restart. There was so much downtime in this first half. I think a lot of it had to do with the way she officiated the game. A lot of fouls in there, a lot of tackles in there. I think both teams, but I think San Antonio had a lot more than us that could have been yellow cards. And she, gave a couple soft ones to RFC, but really kind of kept it in the pocket for San Antonio. I think she had very much an influence on the game. And the broadcast watching back kept saying, "Oh, I know you probably heard some colorful language from Kano Smith there." Kano was very unhappy throughout this first half. Jason adds, you would have thought they would have been more extra time in the first half as well. Just, like, it was so disjointed. It was so stop and go. There was no flow to it. And instead of letting them play early and kind of reining it in as things got tough, she started from that with not letting them play, and it just continued to escalate. So now there had to be a whistle on everything to kind of keep it consistent. I will give you that she was consistent, but it was way too touchy and way too quick with the whistle. She anticipated a lot. There was a couple of there was one aerial duel in particular that Kano kind of lost his shit on. I thought he was going to get carded at one point, but She did not allow play to develop. She did not allow play to take place. It was constant whistles, constant stoppage, constant talking about it. There was a comment after every whistle, and not even a comment, a conversation after every whistle. And it just slowed the game down so much and made it so disjointed and jumbled up.
Well, I think the thing that kills me though, because I think you're making a lot of great points. It's just like that also was San Antonio. Like I think really that was their game plan for the first
I
half
agree.
was suck the energy out. Let's test this. And then the minute she's not giving out those yellow cards, it really just like causes them to be like validated in that strategy and they're going to keep it going. So yeah, I mean, it's just really frustrating. It's one of those halves where I actually thought it was interesting where almost like stats like don't play out like what really happened. I did think we were the better team, but like it was kind of that classic like sterile possession. I thought we did a really good job from like our third and that middle third of like dominating the game. I thought they had nothing. We had everything there, but that like 61% possession, and then we had 89% passing accuracy, but then we had 0 corners and only 3 shots, and a couple of those shots were like Clay taking some like long range missiles. So it just seemed like we would get to the final third, and we just had no one to really unlock. And I think it's really missed like a JJ. And we also really just missed those like quicker opportunities. Like it was kind of really slow developing play, but then nothing to unlock it. We saw it going out to Quizera, getting stuck there, going out to kind of the left wing, getting stuck there. I don't think Noah could really do much there. I think the height thing is interesting. I think we missed JJ more than anything in the first half. Second half, I think once we had a lot more corners going in, the height thing made a much bigger miss, especially with when we're all talking today, how much height we have currently unavailable. But it was an interesting first half where I think if you look back, I'm pretty sure in the locker room, San Antonio was really happy with that because it was a lot of the game got slowed down. The energy got not sucked out of the stadium. I think people were still really excited, but we weren't able to capitalize on that because, one of those Clay goals goes in or, a couple of things happens and all of a sudden you have like the rowdiest crowd possible there. So I'm pretty sure at halftime, San Antonio was happier than us.
Right on. And you mentioned stats, and Jason says, speaking of stats, I like how they have that stuff on the board.
Cool.
It is cool to see, get that extra element in there. Martin also adds San Antonio scored a goal at least in their last 13 USL matches, and we shut them out. So something to be proud of. Totally there. You mentioned the absence of JJ. I think this would have been a game that he would have absolutely shined in. So you totally have to feel for JJ and picking up that injury just days away from the home opener, and it being such a physical match that he could have won aerial duels, knocked the ball down, used his hold-up play to create opportunities and layoffs for the rest of our attacking midfielders. I think he would have made an absolute world of difference. I was shocked that we only had 4 corners. It felt like the second half we were just in the corner, throughout the half. I think that having a JJ in there, having a Frank in there would have definitely saw us score a goal. Maxi had 2 unbelievable chances in the second half, coming off corners as well. A couple that I'm sure, he would have loved to have seen again and see those chances. But overall, I thought we generated the best chances. We mentioned the Clay volley, mentioned the 2 Maxi chances that went just wide of the post in the second half. But I did think we had the better chances. And if there was going to be a Chick-fil-A Attleboro corner kick winner, it would have come from RIFC.
Totally. I thought the second half was really interesting. A couple of things we did that I like. One thing I do appreciate about Kano is that he's willing to mix it up. And one of the changes I thought was really good was that he swapped Noah to the left wing and put Brito in the middle. I think a bit of that was a precursor to bringing Dequa on, but I really like the idea there of like, hey, Noah's kind of not. He can play striker, but he's not. He needs to be almost a second striker if he's going to play.
Right.
He needs to be in a 2-man system, not just up by himself. I think he does as much of a job as he can. But I mean, getting him in that left wing, I genuinely believe. I know he hasn't had the best season or best game yesterday, but I really think that's going to unlock the best of him. So that was a really smart move there. But yeah, if there was anyone on the pitch, like we're going to talk about a couple performances, but like Maxi was like dying to get a goal. Like I thought if like anyone was going to do it, it was him. He put so many chances on net. He was not like unwilling to shoot. I mean, he was taking like crazy knocks and just getting right back out there. The thing about him, I know people have had some up and down thoughts about his season so far, but you can't knock his effort or his intensity. Like the man wants to win every single game for us, and as fans, like that's all we can ask for. So really good there. But looking at the so one thing that's fun about where we're sitting is I just kind of type in my phone like live notes, and one of my notes was I've never seen a ref care so much about exactly where kicks are taken. And like again, it slowed the match down a ton. But I thought this half was good. I mean, we lost, I think the possession battle was about half, but like we were all in their half the entire game, entire second half. 62% of our accurate passes were in their half. 28% of them were in the final third. 15 touches. We had 15 touches in the box to their 2. We had 13 shots to their 3. We had 4 corners to their 1. I mean, like if any team was going to win this, it was Rhode Island, and I really didn't think they got like a true sniff at our goal.
No, that's well said. They had the one Koke leaping parry where he was off his line. Go figure. We see that. It's just the way he plays the game for his first save at Tidewater.
I do have to back my guy Koke, but it's not just the way he plays the game, but I also think it's what he's being asked to do, because he's being asked to play that sweeper keeper role so that like if they do break, he can kind of mop it up. So yeah, he got caught in no man's land. It was great. It was nice that he could kind of parry that away, but totally get why people don't love it.
It's tough, because the play turns over so quickly, and he's so far off his line that I'm surprised we don't see that more with teams trying to take that long ball approach and try to catch him off his line and go for the shot. We don't see it too much, but I think the opportunity is there, many different times. But you talk about some performances in particular. I definitely wanted to give Aldair Sanchez his flowers in this one. I thought he was personally my man of the match on the rewatch. I know, Amos got it for the Defiance. I know some people are throwing around Quizera, and I think that's just, I don't see it. His touches were heavy. He kind of frustrated me at times with kind of the refusal to shoot the ball. But I think Aldair Sanchez was really good. He put in a lot of good balls in the box. He won, was battling on duels. I thought the link up between him, Amos, and Brito was actually very good down that left-hand side. I know Brito kind of caught some flack from people. I don't think he played all that terribly. But I do think, we saw that triangle between those three really start to develop. Aldair completed 28 of 33 passes at 85%. He had 59 touches, had 6 passes into the final third. Had 1 accurate cross, 1 accurate long ball. He took 3 corners, and I think he put them into really good spots. He won 3 out of 3 tackles, had a block, had a clearance, had 6 defensive actions and a recovery, and won 6 duels. I thought he put in a really good defensive shift along with a really good attacking shift going forward. Really liked what I saw from him, and I think, like I said, that link up down the left with him and Amos, and even getting Brito more so in the first half. Obviously, he was subbed out in the 60th. Was really good to see. I thought he was very pesky. I know a lot of people said Quizera kind of caused problems for the other team, but I think a lot of the attacks seem to come focused down that left flank. And that's where I was set up. So that's where I saw a lot of it. And, I kind of confirmed it in rewatching this one back. But I think Aldair was absolutely outstanding. And he was, our creative spark that got the ball into Maxi, got the ball into Clay at the edge of the box for some really, potentially good moments that just didn't transpire.
Yeah, I mean, before I respond to that, guess where Timmy had him in his play ratings?
5.
Yeah, it was a 6. Yeah, I think it was like one of the 4th or 5th rated. So shout out to Timmy for always, being on top of that. But no, I agree. I thought he had a great game, and I thought the way when we signed him, I thought it was interesting because we all thought he was going to be a Quizera backup, but his ability to play that left wing back role, but also just like a pure left back, I think is really, really interesting for the flexibility that gives us. And again, a classic Cano Smith player who has that flexibility that they can play a couple of different positions, but his ability to kind of hold his own defensively, even though he's not the biggest guy in the world, which I can say, but also kind of run up the wing, make that overlapping run and whip crosses in, especially if we're going to keep playing these inverted wingers. And for those, I'm using that term, that means you're playing people who their predominant foot is actually on the inside. So if you're on the left wing, your primary foot is on your right foot. If you're on the right wing, it's your left foot. So you would have seen, again, Quizera yesterday really favoring that left foot on the right. Having that overlapping run allows a cross to get in from someone's dominant foot there. And the nice thing too about Aldair is we've seen him also be able to do it on his right. So I think he's going to continue to grow and create a lot of problems for teams. And I wouldn't be shocked if over the course of the season we really see the left wing, really be unlocked and start to shine. So more to come there. Again, this team's working a lot of things out in real time, as well as dealing with a lot of injuries. But on the night, I thought Aldair had a really good signing. And then again, he's a young guy. Like, he's going to grow. He's going to learn a lot on this team. And I'm really excited to see what we got here, because it's someone I know, William Lamb. I don't know if he's in the chat tonight, but he spoke extremely highly of Aldair when we signed him. And I'm excited that we have him.
No, absolutely. I thought, like I said, for me, he was a standout performer. I know you've got some more standout performers, and those of you sickos, you regulars, Ryan's got slides. So here we go. Let's hit it.
Let's see what we got. So a couple standout performers. We have to start with Amos. It's funny. I talked to him after the game. What a guy. But I wasn't prepared to have an actual conversation with Amos, and I just kept telling him repeatedly that he was an absolute dog on the night. And I 24 hours later, back that statement. He was the Defiance 1636 man of the match. Craziest stat of the night. Like, he won 11 duels. So from someone who I was like, maybe he'll play in like either one of the wing positions, or he's going to play as like a number 10, have the freedom. He was in the pivot, and he was an absolute dog out there. Like, I genuinely, like, looking at it in real time, I knew this, but then seeing like the data, like the next up, I think for duels was 7. Like, he just was in there destroying people.
I think a lot of that is just, it speaks to his speed. He is so fast.
He's unbelievable. I actually kind of would like to see him on the wing with that speed, but like, again, the just like pure tenacity he showed. And then, I mean, having him and Clay, like, I don't really never need to see this, but like seeing them have like a 40-yard dash, like, competition would be, interesting. I don't know when I'll ever see that, but what a fun time that would be for everybody. But they're both like so fast. And I think we saw it last night. They covered.
Booth Ryan might see it.
What was that?
Booth Ryan could see it.
Booth Ryan could see a lot of things. But I do think the two of them covered so much ground. They were absolutely everywhere. And he was also fouled 5 times. I wrote, again, in these real-time notes, like, Amos is getting the shit kicked out of him in this game, but like, he just kept getting back up and just throwing his body in there. So like, again, absolute dog on the night. And have to shout this lovely photography here. These are all Tide Talk original photographs, everybody.
I mentioned the Club Collector shot. If you get the Amos card, you will see that picture again. So shout out to Craig for working with us as well.
Yeah. But anything on Amos's night?
Like I said, his speed is what really impressed me. Looked at his heat map. He was all over the place. It was a very Clay-esque performance from Amos in the middle. Roy Kent, if you will. He was here. He was there. He was every fucking where. In his speed, people talk about his size and him kind of getting bodied off the ball, but like, I don't think he was. Like you said, he drew the fouls. He was fouled 5 times. So like, when he did lose the ball, Alyssa Nichols, to her credit, you did reward him with the foul, and we were able to take a free kick. One thing on free kicks that I did mention to you post-match, we don't play a lot of free kicks going forward. We end up passing it back and kind of trying to like recycle and reloop off of that. And I don't know how much of that is missing JJ, missing Frank, missing some of those bigger targets. But I'd like to see it just be a little bit more daring on the free kicks and kind of look to, attack and get the ball into the box a little bit more rather than going all the way back to Koke. But very well could be a personnel thing with what we got going on right now. But like you said, absolute dog. The real standout for me with Amos was his speed. He just flew all over Tidewater. Yeah,
I mean, the thing too, like what you're saying about his heat map, I think it's almost like when you have Haribo and Clay in the pivot, like, and when we say pivot, it's kind of like the 2 men in midfield who are really kind of, either progressing the ball or like making tackles in there. It's a very similar thing there where the 2 of them just cover so much ground. Like, they're just like marathon runners who can just be anywhere you need them to be. And I think Amos like really showed a lot of that, which was, fantastic. And quite frankly, probably one of the reasons why this game was a contest, because we went into this, I think a lot of us not feeling great about this one with so many injuries. And I think he has to be one of the highlights of the night here. But next up we had everybody Maxi Rodriguez. Quite frankly, I just put, he was our offense. Like, he had our only big chance. He had 7 shots. Like, 7 shots is insane from one player, by far the most in the match. And it really was. I also love this guy's face right here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but that guy is excited for what's about to happen, hopefully. But again, I think it's his tenacity and his like just willingness to want to win. I really feel that from him, and I feel that like energy in the game. And I know he was bummed he didn't get one, but he definitely is going to get on the score sheet soon. And I think we're starting to really see how we can unlock him and how we can get the best out of him, which is exciting.
One thing I really love about Maxi is his leadership on the field. Every time there's a foul, there's a whistle,
100%.
he's right in there mucking it up with the opposing team, the ref, whatever. There was a moment where Kano was very animatedly yelling at him on the sideline. And, I think he's the type of player that, as a coach myself, like there are certain players you can get into and kind of rip, and it sparks them on to perform better and to press more. And I think Kano knows what he's got with Maxi in that one. And, you saw him a very scary moment when he went down and kind of thinking, and like, was that a turf monster type thing? Like I immediately thought like, oh, he did his knee. But the trainer's trying to stretch him out and he's yelling like, no, just get me up right now. Get me up right now. Another very weird officiating moment with that. It took forever to get him back on the pitch, which made no sense, with Clay and the headband and all of that. He was able to beckon right on immediately, but Maxi was kind of on the sideline for, I think, well over a minute, which was a little bit odd to see. But Maxi, I think, is another dog. He just, he goes into everything. He throws himself into challenges. He pushes forward. I think the more that we kind of see our best 11 take shape and form, the relationship that we're going to see with him and Clay. I think we started to see that on Saturday with, like I said, he recycled to Clay and then repositioned and was able to get going forward more. So, him winning tackles and having Clay as a pressure relief valve, if you will, I think is going to be outstanding for this team going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think even at the end of the game, you almost saw Maxi playing a little bit of like the JJ role. Like he was doing a lot of like flick-ons, really trying to like get everything moving off of him, which again, it just shows his versatility. It shows that he's willing to do what it takes. Yeah, for those of you who wonder, Matt does do that to me before podcasts to try to spur me on. He'll give me a couple insults, get me moving here. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, everyone knows I've loved Maxi since he was in Detroit. So like, this is not shocking, but like you said, his leadership and like his like willingness to do kind of what it takes is, really inspiring for this team. But the final guy, Clay Halstad, I mean, like, let's look at this heat map. Like, look at this heat map. He's just everywhere on the pitch. And like, I almost think he had an underrated game because he just like, I felt like anytime we needed anything to happen, whether it was a shot, whether it was just like, oh, hey, they're breaking up. There's Clay. He's going to break it up. Oh, hey, like there's a kind of ruckus happening in the midfield. Like, oh, hey, Clay's just there to clean it all up and emerge and like run at the defense. But I mean, he had 3 chances created, which was the second most, 8 passes into the final third, 4 shots, which is the second most, 7 recoveries, which again, I think is kind of his really superpower. He also had the most, I've never seen this on FOTMob before, the most accurate forward zone passes. I don't know what that means, but he was the most in the game, which seems right. But I genuinely, it's one of those moments I just kind of look back. I'm like, this guy's such just like a freak athlete who also is just really, really good at soccer. And like, just the things he can do every single game. I'm so happy that Kano just is keeping him in the midfield because I just don't know how much we can do without him in there. Like, it's just such an underrated somehow player still.
He's just such a savvy player. He's a smart player. His positioning's great, and he just does all the little things that might not, get him on the score sheet, but makes his team better.
And he tried his ass off to get down the score sheet. I'll give him that.
Those 4 shots, like I said, 2 in the first 15 minutes. He wanted to break the seal at Tidewater.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if there's going to be a player to do it, like he's one of the most. I don't know if deserving is the right thing, but like he really, really wanted to see that. But he, yeah, and the other thing too, he just like never panics. Like he'll be pressed by 12 people, and he's like, "Good joke. I have been the best athlete I've ever known my entire life. I'm just going to dance past you and just streak up the field and run at the defense." So yeah, I just was so impressed by him yesterday. Seeing him live.
Oh, absolutely. Just kind of what we've grown to expect from seeing Clay.
That's the thing about Clay. Like, it's almost like you almost have to keep remembering to appreciate what we have because he's one of those players who puts in at least a 7 out of 10 every single night. And he's just doing things out there that like, I don't know how many other players in this league can do. And I just hope that we always remember to keep being like being very grateful and happy and excited that this player is playing in the Amber and Blue. And like, again, player of the season last season. So he's not like, no one missed that. But like, it's just crazy how unbelievable he is.
And like Kaler said when we had him on, probably the best ball striker in the USL Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have it on here. I think he was like 6 for 10 or something crazy on long balls. Like he was just spamming the ball over the pitch. Like truly, like could have again. Amos had an amazing day. I'm not taking anything away from him, but like Clay's one of those players. Like you could just put him in midfield by himself, and he's just gonna run the show. Like it's just really crazy what he can do.
Right on. Is that the last of your slides, Ryan?
That is the last of the slides. Yeah, we'll
Well
see if we keep
done.
doing this. Let us know if you like this or not. Like we're trying new things all the time, so let us know.
Absolutely. I do have to address one comment in the chat. The wave at the stadium.
Oh, I
Natesky
didn't
says
know if we were gonna get to this.
Natesky said he loved it. I am not a fan of the wave at soccer games.
We never talked about this. All right.
That is a baseball thing. If you're doing the wave, you're not fully invested, paying attention in the game. I'm not a fan of it personally. Are you a wave guy, Ryan?
My ass was sat right down. Kevin did threaten my life if I got up and did the wave, but I also, so I'm in two minds of this. So one is like I don't love it, but I also do like people doing anything that references tides at Rhode Island FC. So I'm gonna stay neutral on this for the time being. We'll see how it progresses through the season.
You do have a fan of the slides, and Martin saying loves the slides.
Martin,
Keep
let's
them.
get a beer, my guy.
That's it. Jason says that was Pawtucket going back to McCoy with the wave. We'll give it that. I hope we don't
actually,
see it.
I will give one criticism of the wave tonight. Again, I'm going to stay neutral on this for a bit. It was early. It was real early for the wave guys. It was like 10 minutes in, and people were trying to get it going. I'm like, guys, there's actually we had a lot of the ball. I'm like, we are trying to score goals, and Clay Holstead is trying his absolute best to score them from 30 yards out, and we're doing the wave. That was my thing. But hey, as long as everyone's having fun, great. Not going to poo-poo anyone's day.
All right. Ewan says, feel like the turf slowed the ball down at times. I don't think it was the turf so much as it was Alyssa Nichols. I think she was the one that really slowed the ball down at times and just didn't let play.
I get what Ewan's saying. There was some just like weird bounces, like classic like new turf stuff going on. It's one of those things you hope it's like a home field advantage because they're practicing on it and they know those little bounces. Like we talked about this before Portland. The Portland field when we watched when they're at the high school, the game before at Hartford, like there was some insane bounces happening, and it's like that has to benefit the home team because they're practicing on it and playing on it. So yeah, it's it's a new pitch. It's only been played on so many times, so I'm sure there's some wacky stuff going on.
And big shout out to our friends in Portland, the Durigo Union, as they drew their home opener 1-1 versus Knoxville today. So big shout out to them. I know they had about just under 6,000 people. I think it was 5,700 people, at Fitzpatrick. So good to see them getting up and going into their new home. So good stuff there. Tim Sheldon wants to know, will there be a pre-game show before Wednesday night's match? I think we'll probably go live again on our Instagram. So if you're with us and you're not already following our Instagram, follow us on all of our socials at Tide Talk RI. We do a lot of live stuff, particularly on the Instagram, where you can kind of catch it, and we'll get people's thoughts on the walk in. But we'll switch gears a bit now. We'll kind of look at some of the socials and the different reactions that we got from people through our RIFC in 3 posts and our good, better, best. I know it wasn't a win, but I think highlighting the good and everything
better,
that
best
came
was the only thing we could do.
It was the only thing we could go from that. We'll start on Facebook. Our good friend Don Lindbergh, who caught you and I potting at Westchester. A great shot. We love Don.
Potting with no audio, which is the best kind of podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at a later date. Don's RFC in 3 was a proud day. Eric R. Monroe's chance was didn't finish chances. Jason Demers had tears of joy. So thank you for everyone who wrote in on Facebook. And also want to plug our Facebook group, RFC Nation, which has over 1,000 members in it now. The biggest spot for RAFC fans in one place online. If you're on Facebook and you haven't already joined the group, you can click the link in this episode description to join it today. There's always posts in there. People post multiple times per day. So always good to keep it going.
And if anyone has anyone that want to add to the chat, definitely feel free.
Absolutely. Heading over to Instagram, the Orange County Soccer Cast, who we did an away end episode last year with, said, think of it as another chance to score the first goal at Tidewater. I like it. I added home sweet home. It was just really good to be there and be home. Pawtucket J, he got me good in this one. Great number, Matt. Talking about my bib, my vest. I was number 69. I know people asking about in the chat earlier for me to share that number. So
Yeah,
great debut.
People aka Timmy was asking to do that.
Great debut for number 69. Hopefully you guys can enjoy some of that stuff. We'll head
Do you know
over
if you
to.
get to keep the same one?
I do not think so. I one could only hope, right? One could only hope. I think you said it before. The world is my oyster. Uh, in the Defiant 1636 Discord, and if you are new to Tide Talk and you heard the drums, you saw the smoke, and you want to get a little bit more involved in the fan culture, go to the RI. Just Google RI Defiance. Click their website. You can join as a paid member, get a cool scarf, some really cool stickers, join the supporters group. There is a Discord you can join as well, where people post at all hours of the day, night, anytime, anywhere. Join the group, and you can kind of link up with people in M7. Cool to know, like Chris said earlier, that the buses go from lot to lot. So even if you bought parking in a different lot, you can come over and meet some people and march in with the group. I think it's a really cool experience and really enhances your match day experience. But Andrew Gomes, who shout out, saw him multiple times on the broadcast, beating drums and going off at his RIFC in 3. Pocket full of sunshine, and Matt is 69. So thank you, Andrew, for that. Tim McDuff had my feet hurt. It was a long day. It was a lot of walking, but it was, I think, a pain that you would, very well take and, you'd be okay with in the long run.
Hey, you have to be willing to suffer.
That's it. You have to be willing to suffer. Terrace added what a day for his RFC in 3. Leo O, who always participates in these with such great takes, and shout out to Leo. We got to see him in the tailgate beforehand. Had his good as Amos being the thorn. SAFC couldn't get out of their side. Better support showed up all around the stadium for the team, and the excitement was palpable hours before the game. Best, every player in blue fought from start to end and did not put up with SAFC's antics. And, Kano talked about how the players fought hard in his post-match and, really gave them their flowers and their praise. Just a great shift for, I think it being the opener and people being, very excited about this team, the buzz around the community, and the players, although maybe undermanned for what we normally would see, fought really hard in this one.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I haven't heard a single person who's been disappointed by the performance yesterday. Obviously, you don't want to get a draw, and sometimes though people get you hear a lot of people upset about it. But I feel like the only thing I've heard about yesterday is just people were just very proud of the performance the team put in. So, I think that's really reflective of how hard they worked on the night, and you could tell that they also really, really wanted it.
Awesome. As I plugged the Defiance and talked about that, we have Defiance Vice President Matt Jean in the chat. He says there may be another Defiance exclusive sacred drop soon. So even more reason to join the supporters group and check that out and see what we have going on.
Yeah, and if you're maybe supporter group curious, as I always call it, come watch a match at the Guild when there's an away game. Great time to see what the Defiance is all about, really meet people. I think it's we talk about the team, we talk about a lot of things. The best part about all this is the community around it, and the Defiance does such a good job at that, and it's such a big part of it. So come on by. It might seem intimidating with all the drums and everything, but it's just really a nice group of people who all just want to make friends and watch some soccer together and just have a good time. So.
Right on. Finish off Leo. His RIFC in 3 was Gritty Vault Christening, which was also really funny to watch the Portland match today and see the gritty signs, the $3 Dewey sweets. Just funny stuff in there. Sarah had RAFC in 3, up the tide. Her good was the tailgate atmosphere, better the stadium experience. Best was handing out the man of the match paddle with Matt and the rain/rainbow. Matt Jean had his RAFC in 3 as the Pawtucket soccer mecca. Our guy Nate Ski's RAFC in 3 was awesome home opener, good the weather, better supporters walked to the stadium, and best did not lose. Max had RAFC in 3. Rhodey showed up, good tied despite 4 starters injured and playing against the best team in the standings. Better dominated the whole game. Best stadium 200 over capacity, and the air quotes are on capacity, shook the ESPN camera, and very enthusiastic. Honorable mention, energy increased in the rain, especially with the rainbow. Our good friend Tyler had Home Sweet Home as his RIFC in 3.
Actually, just to stop you, did you think we were going to score? when the rainbow came
I
out?
did.
Me too.
I actually thought with Koke playing that even higher line in the rain and the ball just kind of being pegged down into their zone much more frequently that we were going to find one. I thought it was going to be Maxi to get that home opener and really piss off the northern guard, which would have been absolute chef's kiss.
Mhm.
Matt Jean had good. The team showed up and got a point. Better. New England has a true soccer-specific stadium. Don't let Todd hear you say that, Matt. Shout out to Todd. I did see him before the game and at halftime. Best, the fans showed that Rhode Island supports soccer. I think that's a real big, takeaway from this one. Really good to see all the people show up. The lines for the stores and those little like locker shops they had set up were incredible throughout the night. I love to see how many jerseys were sold in this one because I know a couple of people who went in without jerseys and definitely walked out wearing one. Could have been due to the rain too, but regardless. Terrace had
Whatever
good.
sells jerseys, yeah.
That's it. Terrace had good. Our defense held up better. The stadium was amazing. Best, the crowd was awesome. We also had, scrolling through the Disco, we had a lot of comments in this one. Raising Anchor actually commented on ours as well, so we'll give them their credit here. The good, well-earned point with the injuries going. Better, stadium opening, showing the state soccer is here to stay. Best, they used a GIF kind of going with their anchors up thing, which some guys threw some weird anchors up, shocker, gang signs at us at the Guild. It was kind of weird. Up the Tide. It's for the streets. It is what it is. And then our guy Timmy had RIFC in 3. RIFC summer begins. We're going to be at Tidewater a lot over the next, I would even say weeks, but months.
I mean, like right now, like this week, we are going to be there a lot.
That's true. We're back on Wednesday night. It's going to be
Saturday.
Absolutely awesome. And Saturday. His good was Decoy returns from injury when we need him most. Good to see him getting out there. When I actually, saw him the lineup and then saw him walk out, I was like, oh, it's good seeing him on the field again. Better getting a point against the best team in the West, and we probably should have won it too. Mm-hmm. We talked about it. We think we had the better chances, probably the more deserving team, but that's okay. Best, and finally getting
expected goals was like 0.7 to 0.4 or something like that, but
yeah. The best was finally getting to show the Doomers that the stadium is here. It's real and it's already beloved. Absolutely love it. Really good stuff. So thank you to everyone who wrote in. Again, if you're new to Tide Talk, we do post-match posts that say RAFC in 3, sum up the match in 3 words, give it a 3-word movie title, if you will. And then typically after a loss, we'll hit it with a good, bad, or ugly. And depending on the draw, and also on a win, we'll do a good, better, best. And you submit your good, better, and best moments from that one. So if you wonder what all that's about, make sure you're following us on all of our socials so you can chime in on all of that. We had a lot of you in the chat tonight, a lot of you viewing. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Just a lot of really good stuff to talk about throughout this one. So we'll start wrapping things up. Ryan, any final thoughts, going into this? Obviously, we're back Wednesday night versus the Revs. It's the USL Open Cup, the magic of the cup. Hoping to see a good cup set. We know there will be a ton of trolls on social media with the Revs fans, and they are what they are. It is what it is, but I think it could be a very special night at Tidewater.
Yeah, I mean, one thing Martin just pulled out, like Rio was awesome. I know, like he was a classic defender where like I have nothing to say about him because he just did his job really, really well all night. So yeah, good shout, Martin there. But no, I mean, overall, I think there's been so much said about this game, and I think a lot of us are speaking the same language of just like it was just an awesome day. I mean, I know a lot of us said win, lose, or draw, no matter what happens, like blah, blah, blah. But like it truly just was a really monumental day for this club, for the state, for this community. And yeah, I really couldn't be prouder of how the team performed, how the stadium performed, how the community really rallied behind this. And, even in the rain, it was truly the heaviest rain I feel like I've ever felt. People just like, no one left. People might have ran under something to hide under, but like you had people popping their tops, like, chanting for the team, really willing them on to try to get that win. And I just, today was kind of day one of what this club is going to be for the long term. And I couldn't be more excited for that.
Right on. I actually forgot the RFC in 3 and good, better, best on Twitter. So thank you to Kevin for calling that out. I'm sorry, I'd already closed that tab. So
I
production
honestly was
error
like,
on me.
I thought it was on purpose. I was like, this is hilarious.
No, no, no.
Find out why.
So we had Kevin at Fluffy Cowhog Boy wrote in good tugboat horn for kickoff, better hard fought point with a laundry list of injuries, best a day that I will never forget for the rest of my life. Hashtag up the tide. And then he added for an RFC in 3, we are home. Mike Moniz wrote in rainbows and sunshine, another good one. So really good stuff from there going forward. Hopefully we're able to kind of keep riding this out, keep this momentum as the summer of RIFC will continue. I think Kevin said it best. It's a day we'll always remember, a real kind of trailblazer moment in this club and getting into that stadium, getting into the first match. I bought the pin, a little round pin, the
I wanted to get
commemorative
one.
first match
I
pin.
need to get it. I hope they have it next match.
It was great. Jason points out, you mean on X? It'll forever be Twitter, but hopefully they still have some of those pins left. If you didn't see it, they had 2. They had one with the both teams' logos on it, and then they had one that was just kind of like a seal. That's the one I opted for. Nice little clean round one, 8 change or whatever with the season ticket discount. Really good. One thing I will say, I hope the club keeps the pro shop open longer after the game. I know, like you and I both wanted to go in and go, here, take my money. Take it, and we weren't able to do so.
I mean, we were upset. There was a child weeping.
There was a child crying. There was a child
He just
crying.
wanted a jersey. So please, can we get that kid a jersey? He was so sad.
He just really wanted to make his parents spend money. Parents might have been happy about it, but the kid was
They were
very
trying really hard to spend money.
Speaking of kids, big shout out to our guy Pat McKenna, who does our pre-match essentials on Reddit. His son christened the stadium, I believe, probably the first puke in the stadium. Just scenes. But go ahead, Ryan. It was probably more important.
I mean, not really. I was just saying the hot tip I heard from the match was the pretzels are amazing. So I'm excited to try one. So just little hot tip from the concessions.
All right. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. Again, if you're still here with us, make sure you hit that like button. People said adding into the shop stuff, the merch is fire. The new goalkeeper shirt's fire. This ton of training stuff is fire. So the more we can get our hands on.
I am someone who sweats a ton, and it looks good either way. So highly recommend. It's like the Bear Bells one, I think it's called. Very
Branded Bills.
Expensive, but like Branded Bills. Bear Bells is the Trader Joe's protein bar. Highly recommend it. A little expensive, but like it's gonna hold up really well.
Awesome. But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. I've been your host, Matt, for Ryan. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next time. And as always, up the tide.
Up the tide.